Écraser l'infâme. Crush the infamous thing.
Wow. Yeah, powerful words.
Right, that cry from Voltaire, it wasn't just some phrase. It felt like a cannon shot, really.
Straight into the heart of the old ways of thinking.
Exactly. It just sums up this incredible time when people started questioning everything, challenging centuries of dogma, demanding, well, a whole new worldview.
A revolution of the mind.
Precisely. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping headfirst into that revolution, the Enlightenment, the age of reason.
It's a huge topic.
It is. And our mission for you today is to understand how this whole intellectual ferment, unfolded across Europe, the Americas, how it reshaped society.
Right. It wasn't just one idea, was it? It was this cascade.
We want to uncover those connections between the ideas and, maybe more importantly, why this period, with all its flaws, still matters so much today.
And what's fascinating, I think, is how thinkers everywhere, almost at the same time, just started asking these fundamental questions.
About everything they'd been taught.
Yeah. They weren't just fiddling around the edges. They were imagining totally new ways to structure society.
Laying the groundwork for, well, so much we take for granted now.
Human rights, democracy, the scientific method itself. It's quite a story of intellectual courage.
Definitely. And to help us piece this story together for you, we've really dug into the sources.
So heavy hitters in there.
Oh, yeah. Academic works like Peter Gay's The Enlightenment, Jonathan Israel's Radical Enlightenment, which, offers a different angle sometimes.
Yeah, it challenges the standard narrative a bit.
And we've also looked at more accessible stuff for you, like great articles in Smithsonian Magazine and National Geographic.
Pulling up the key insights.
Trying to give you the clearest picture of this really pivotal moment in history. So where do we start this journey?
Well, you can't just start with the Enlightenment itself, can you?
No, it didn't just pop out of nowhere. We have to look back, understand the ground it grew from, particularly the scientific revolution.
Exactly. That's the bedrock, in many ways, the 16th, 17th centuries. It wasn't just new gadgets or discoveries.
It was a whole new way of knowing things.
Precisely. Think about Copernicus, shifting Earth from the center. Or Galileo looking through his telescope and seeing things that just flew in the face of accepted wisdom.
Must have been terrifying and exhilarating.
And then Newton arrives. His laws of motion, gravity. Suddenly the universe seems less mysterious, less ruled by divine whim.
And more like a system, governed by laws.
Predictable, observable laws. That's the key. And this introduces the scientific method observation, experiment, logic as the way to understand everything. Not just planets, but maybe society too.
So the universe becomes less a mystery, more a puzzle to solve.
Exactly. And that impulse, that search for rational foundations, it wasn't purely academic, was it?
No, definitely not. The 17th century was brutal. These religious wars, like the 30 Years' War, just tore Europe apart.
Unimaginable devastation.
Millions dead. People must have been exhausted, deeply cynical about basing society on religious dogma that just led to bloodshed.
Understandably so. They were searching for something else, something more stable.
A basis for peace that wasn't tied to one particular faith. Something rational.
Which raises a really interesting point. How could this movement spread across different countries, different fields, even be a single movement?
Right, it wasn't monolithic.
No, not at all. Peter Gay makes this point really well. The Enlightenment was diverse, dynamic, even argumentative within itself.
Lots of different ideas swirling around.
But what tied them together, generally, was this shared belief in the power of reason.
Yeah.
Reason to understand the world and to improve it.
And a commitment to things like liberty, individual rights.
Yes, and a skepticism towards unquestioned authority, whether it was the church or the state, and this underlying optimism, this belief in progress.
So less a single tune, more like a complex symphony.
That's a good way to put it. Constantly evolving.
Okay, so with that context set, where did these sparks really catch fire? Let's travel to the hotspots, the intellectual hubs.
Where the action was happening.
First stop, Paris. Has to be Paris, right? The heart of the French Enlightenment.
Absolutely buzzing. Radical critiques flying left and right.
Focused on institutions, social reform.
And you can't talk about Paris without Voltaire.
The absolute master. His genius wasn't just what he attacked, but how.
The satire, the wit.
He made tyranny look ridiculous, exposed intolerance, oppression, all with this biting intelligence.
That phrase, écraser l'infâme, crush the infamous thing, it became a rallying cry.
Against the church, against the state, against injustice. And that famous line, maybe apocryphal, but summing him up. I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it.
Captures that spirit of free speech advocacy perfectly.
Then you have Rousseau, sort of Voltaire's intellectual sparring partner.
In a way, yes. And what's fascinating about Rousseau is how he championed liberty, but also sort of challenged pure reason. He argued society corrupts our natural goodness. He brought emotion, intuition back into the picture. Big influence on Romanticism later.
Right, not just cold logic.
But his ideas on the social contract, this agreement between people and government and popular sovereignty, huge.
The idea that power comes from the people.
Immensely influential for democracy, for revolutions to come.
It's interesting, though, isn't it? Voltaire championing reason, Rousseau emphasizing emotion and the collective. How do both fit into the Enlightenment?
It shows the dynamism, the internal debates. It wasn't one size fits all. They were wrestling with these huge ideas from different angles.
And maybe the biggest, most ambitious project of the French Enlightenment, the Encyclopédie.
Oh, monumental. Diderot, D'Alembert, trying to compile all human knowledge.
Systematically, rationally, make it accessible.
And Jonathan Israel points out this wasn't just about collecting facts, it was subversive.
How so? By organizing knowledge differently.
Exactly. Taking it out of the hands of the church or state, presenting it rationally. Diderot himself said the goal was to change the common way of thinking.
Which was incredibly risky back then.
Hugely. Censorship, persecution, these were real threats.
Okay, let's hop across the channel to Scotland. A different flavor of enlightenment there.
Yeah, definitely. Often described as more pragmatic, more focused on empirical observation, human nature, society.
And David Hume is central there.
Absolutely. Hume's fascinating because of his radical skepticism.
Skepticism about what we can actually know.
Right. He emphasized experience, observation. Can we really know cause and effect? Do we even have a continuous self? He really shook the foundations of traditional philosophy.
Pushed people to rethink how we arrive at truth.
Definitely.
And then there's Adam Smith. You can't miss him.
No way. The Wealth of Nations. But it's so much more than just economics.
Peter Gay argues it's really a study of human society, how it flourishes.
Exactly. His ideas on the division of labor, free markets, the invisible hand, it wasn't just about factories.
It was about how society could organize itself for greater prosperity, greater well-being.
Reshaped global thinking on economics and society. Foundational stuff.
Okay, let's cross the Atlantic now. The American Enlightenment. A different vibe again.
Very much so. Much more practical, you could say. Driven by the immediate need to build a new nation.
So, less abstract debate, more applying ideas.
Right. Applying Enlightenment principles to the real-world problems of governance and liberty.
And Benjamin Franklin seems to embody that perfectly.
He really does. Self-made man, inventor, scientist, diplomat.
The kite experiment.
Bifocals. Practical applications of reason and science to improve everyday life. He lived the Enlightenment ideal of self-improvement and ingenuity.
Making the world better one invention at a time.
And then you have Thomas Jefferson.
The Declaration of Independence.
Its core ideas, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, are pure enlightenment, deeply influenced by John Locke, natural rights, popular sovereignty.
The idea that government gets its power from the people.
Exactly. The Declaration wasn't just breaking away, it was an Enlightenment manifesto for self-governance based on reason.
So zooming out then, how did all this thinking actually change society? What was the impact on, say, religion?
Well, there was definitely a lot of criticism of organized religion, especially the Catholic Church, seen by many thinkers as superstitious, dogmatic, even oppressive.
But they weren't all atheists.
No, not necessarily. Many were deists, like Voltaire, actually, believing in a rational creator God who set the universe up with natural laws but didn't intervene directly. A God of reason, not revelation.
Okay. And what about education? That seems central.
Hugely important. The belief was that education was key to human progress, and crucially, it shouldn't just be for the elite.
Knowledge for everyone.
That was the ideal. For individual growth, yes, but also for the good of society. This led directly to things like public schools, libraries, those encyclopedias, fundamentally changing how knowledge spread.
And the arts, do they change too?
Yes, you see a shift away from, say, the very ornate Baroque style towards clarity, reason, balance. Neoclassicism.
And in literature.
Writers often aim to educate, to improve morals, not just entertain. This is where the novel really takes off.
Exploring human nature, social issues.
Using a rational lens, examining morality. Think of someone like Jane Austen later on, subtly critiquing society with such sharp observation.
Right. But let's not paint too rosy a picture. The Enlightenment had its dark sides, its contradictions.
Absolutely critical to acknowledge that it wasn't some perfect utopia of reason. Far from it.
Some thinkers were pretty elitist, weren't they? Looked down on ordinary people.
Yes, that's definitely true. And maybe overly optimistic about human nature, about reason conquering all, sometimes neglecting community, tradition, emotion.
And this is where it gets really uncomfortable, I think. The biggest contradiction, maybe.
You mean who these ideals actually applied to?
Exactly. Liberty, equality, rights, great words.
Yeah.
But often not extended to women, people of color, the poor.
It's a glaring hypocrisy. Many prominent Enlightenment figures who wrote eloquently about freedom-held views we now call deeply racist or sexist. Some even owned slaves.
How do we square that? These brilliant minds advocating universal rights while holding slaves.
It shows how deeply ingrained the prejudices of the time were. The ideals were revolutionary, but their application was filtered through existing biases. Progress was incomplete, selective. It's a crucial limitation to understand.
So the legacy is complicated.
Immensely so. Powerful, complex, still debated. On the one hand, the achievements are undeniable.
Modern democracy, human rights, science, constitutional government.
The very framework of the modern world, in many ways, it gave us the intellectual tools.
But on the other hand,
It also arguably contributed to some modern problems, maybe excessive individualism, materialism, a devaluing of tradition.
it inspired revolutions, which is huge.
But those revolutionary ideals weren't applied universally, so it shaped our world in ways that are both profoundly good and, frankly, problematic.
A testament to the power of ideas, but also to human flaws in applying them.
Absolutely. Ultimately, the Enlightenment story is about that power, the power of ideas to change everything.
The power of reason, observation, critical thinking.
And the courage to challenge authority, even when it was dangerous. These thinkers showed we could try to understand and improve our world.
And that message, that commitment to intellectual freedom, open debate, accessible knowledge, it feels incredibly relevant right now.
More than ever, perhaps, with challenges like misinformation, threats to democracy, the core Enlightenment values of critical thinking and free inquiry are vital.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something for you, our listener, to think about.
Given everything we've discussed, the incredible impact, but also the very real limitations and blind spots, especially around equality.
What responsibilities do we have now? How do we carry forward the promise of progress while actively addressing those historical failings?
And maybe think about what stood out most to you from this age of reason. What feels most surprising or most enduring about this incredible period?